Hello, in this video we're going to look at part 4 of the listening paper in the Cambridge English first exam. Part 4 is the longest part of the listening and it's a multiple choice task. You'll have a series of questions. For each one there will be 3 possible answers. Only one of those, of course, will be correct. As with the other videos in this series about the listening paper, we're using the PDF that you can find in the link below, along with the MP3s produced by Cambridge. We're doing sample paper 2, so in the PDF we're on page 64, and we'll hear part of a radio interview with an author called Mickey Smith. So what do you have to do? Well, because this is such a long task, it's very important that you're aware of your place in the listening. Cambridge help you a little bit here. Usually the multiple choice task is based on an interview. An interview is built almost like a piece of reading in paragraphs. Question, answer, question, answer. So when the interviewer speaks, that usually means that we're moving on to the next question in the series. But it's always useful when you're listening to have an eye on the next question so that you know what to listen for in case you miss the answer for the one you're looking at now. So for example, when you're on question 26, have a look at 27 in case they start to talk about that, and then you know that you need to keep going forwards. As you're listening, think about the question, the way that it's presented in the paper itself. Look for the key words. Think about the meaning behind those words. Listen for things like believe. Mickey believes, for example, here. Look for the key words in the questions like first or initially. There we can expect a series of possibilities, but only one of those will be the first thing, and that will be the answer we want. Okay, so we'll learn more by doing a little bit of practice. So when you're ready, attempt the task, then come back to us. We'll go through each of the answers in turn and see what we can learn. Okay. Okay, so let's have a look at these possible answers then. For number 24, the answer we want is B. When asked about his theory on talent, Mickey says that he realises some people disagree with him. So that's the first question that the interviewer asks, and he says, I know that's controversial because it's thought that people are born with natural abilities. I have my critics, but the evidence from research I've done backs up my argument. So, when he says controversial, when he says he has critics, this shows that he realises some people disagree with him. He mentions evidence from research, but it doesn't mean he is doing further research, so A is just a distraction. And it says in C, he has not yet fully proved his ideas. Well, the opposite is true, as we've just seen. For number 25, the answer we want is B. Mickey believes that outstanding football players are aware of the positions of other players on the pitch. So the key word in the question here is actually outstanding. We're not talking about most football players or players in general, but only the best or a great footballer. And he says the way a great footballer understands where his teammates are around him on the field is what helps him score goals rather than speed. Now, if you were only listening for the vocabulary and you heard the word speed, you might think that C is possible. Football players are faster runners than other players, and that's not the answer we're looking for. We want B. In 26, how did Mickey feel when he first became successful at gymnastics? The answer we want is A, convinced he had a natural aptitude for the sport. And we hear, my initial reactions, that's how he first felt, when I got to the top was, wow, I must have been born with this ability to do gymnastics. He then says, what I now understand, and then he's talking about things that are true for B and C, in that list, but we're not interested in that. We're only interested in how he first felt, his initial reaction. For number 27, the answer we want is B. Mickey says that the motivation to continue training for long periods of time depends on your personal attitude towards success. He says how successful you are is down to how long you're prepared to work. So success appears in the possible answer here. Successful appears in the listening. So we have that transformation. Then in number 28, Mickey says that coaches working with young people need to understand that C, it is important to focus on mental rather than physical techniques. He says coaching young people is more about psychology than it is about the technical side of things. And there is a distraction here later when he talks about there being little difference from how you encourage adults, really. And A said children and adults have different thought processes, so there is a mention of these things, but it's just a distraction, it's not the right answer. And in 29, the answer we're looking for is A. Mickey says that many people who play sport don't bother to try hard because they feel incapable of reaching the same levels as sport stars. It says, the illusion is to think they got there quickly and think, oh my goodness, I could never get up that slope. So this is the illusion. So this gives us the explanation for our answer. And finally, in number 30, according to Mickey, what can cause some sports people to fail at important events? The interviewer says, given everything you've said about top performers, why do they sometimes fail at crucial moments? That's called choking. The answer we want is C. They can become too aware of their actions. When you choke, you become so anxious that instead of delivering your skill automatically, you become conscious of what you're doing, and it's like you've never done it before. If you're conscious of something, you are too aware. So that's it. As you can see, each of the answers comes from a specific point in the listening, and that's what you have to listen for, exactly that answer. Just as in the reading section of the exam, you would underline your answers, here you need to do the same thing mentally. So listen for the synonymous expressions, the things that mean the same here as here. And of course, beware of distractions. Some of the things here will be mentioned, but in the wrong way. Positive here, negative here, for example. Or they will be mentioned, but the specific information we want, like first here, initial here, is what we're listening for. And that's it. At the end of the listening test, you'll be given 5 minutes to copy your answers from the question paper to the answer sheet. You'll have to work quickly because there are 30 answers that you have to transfer. It's a lot of information to copy. You have to do it quickly but carefully and accurately. There's nothing worse than having the right answer on the question paper but putting it in the wrong place on the answer sheet. Okay, thank you very much for joining me. Goodbye.